Back here on CBS Sports HQ, Hakeem Dermish here with you. The Lakers improved their home record in the postseason to 6-0. One of three teams undefeated at home this playoffs. The other two, Denver and Miami. And interestingly, the Lakers will meet the 1-seed Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals. A team who started 2-10. A team that doubts were aplenty. Said, I don't know about this Darvin Ham. I don't know about LeBron James. I don't know about all this stuff. 25-30 at the trade deadline. Credit to Rob Pelinka. D'Angelo Russell, second stint. They got Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura. They got rid of pieces that didn't fit. And then they were a play-in team. Beat Minnesota in overtime. That was a month ago. So they go from a play-in team to now playing for a spot in the NBA Finals because LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Austin Reeves were awesome in this game. D'Angelo Russell was awesome in this game as well. And the defending NBA champs were not so awesome. They shot 38%. Lakers, eye-popping. At least eye-popping in a closeout game. 52%. And they are moving on. Let's get right to the site. Welcome in CBS Sports NBA insider Bill Reiter, who joins us from Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles. Bill, look, we talked pregame, and I said the Lakers were my pick to win. It wasn't going to even be close. It wasn't close. A 21-point win. What did you see from your perspective? What was it like to be there at Crypto.com Arena as the Lakers close out the defending NBA champs?
Yeah, credit to you, Hakeem. You called it. There's so many things. I think one place to start, and you hit on some of this, let's give Darvin Ham just an enormous amount of credit. I've been covering this Warriors team, certainly during their playoff runs, since they began that march in 2015 to their first championship and the start of what became a dynasty. And Hakeem, I have never, and I mean not in a single playoff series I've ever been around, watched a team so effectively confound Steph Curry, make his life miserable, and take away what he has seemed to do so effortlessly for almost a decade now. That is coaching, that is scheming. Credit to Rob Pelinka, the GM, and you were noting this, who put together an absolute turnaround at the trade deadline. And, of course, credit LeBron James, Anthony Davis, all the other guys. But LeBron James, what an epic performance. His first 30-point playoff game in a couple years, nearly a triple-double. This was the perfect performance on the right night from a Lakers team, as you said, that everyone wrote off. And absolutely now, for all the reasons we're talking about, look like championship-level Lakers in a way we haven't seen since the bubble and before.
LeBron James improves to 41-13 in closeout games in his career. Most playoff series won by a player in NBA history. The all-time leading scorer. We saw him get to that milestone this season, trying to win a second title with the Lakers, trying to win his fifth ring. And he comes out, as you said, and puts up a 30-point near triple-double, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. But also, it's about the production, Bill, that he got around him on this night. Anthony Davis, 17-20. A couple days after getting hit in the head and thinking maybe he's not going to play. What does that say about AD to come back in this game, not only play well, but to be here? Because we talked about this literally and figuratively. Like, he's literally there, but, man, he was there tonight.
Well, Keem, I'm not going to get wrapped up in the hyperbole, and I don't want to be negative to Anthony Davis, but if I'm going to answer your question honestly, the honest response is I guess he was okay. If you want a straight answer, I mean, the answer for me is I guess the guy turned out to be just fine. But we should, and I should give him credit. He has been inconsistent, even when absolutely healthy, without questions about a head contusion or possible concussion or injuries. He just hasn't been a consistent performer, and he has obviously found his rhythm in this series, and especially at the back end of the series. You're right. Anthony Davis was an absolute maniac in this game on both sides of the ball. And credit his defense, too. I mean, it's one thing to watch it on television, another thing in person to be reminded this guy can play the highest level of defense in the NBA at any point on the floor. He can guard guards out of the perimeter. He obviously can protect the rim. This guy is such a magnificent player on both ends of the ball. And when he plays the way that he did on this night, and LeBron James is doing what he's doing, and the rest of those role players you mentioned are feeding off that energy and that optimism, man, watch out. This is a dangerous, dangerous Lakers team.
Yeah, he's the hybrid big, right? I mean, that's what the new NBA is. You got to be a hybrid. He's exactly what that is. When he's healthy, he can be awesome. He can be at an elite level and certainly hoping to be a problem for Nikola Jokic in the Western Conference Finals. I want to take you back to a critical moment, or what could have been a critical moment, in the third quarter, 6 minutes to play. Dennis Schroeder and Draymond Green. Ball right in the face of Dennis Schroeder. He gets a double tech, which I was surprised. What was your perspective on that moment?
Yeah, I remember earlier in the game when he got his first technical, I remember just thinking, well, I guess he'll be calm now. It's interesting. It's hard. I know we're watching the video now. It doesn't look like he did anything that we can tell that would warrant that technical, which was the second technical and got him ejected. I will say this. He doesn't really argue, Akeem. You can see in the clip, and I watched it 5 or 6 times after it happened from my seat here at Crypto.com Arena. He doesn't really resist or put up a big argument, and there are some magic words and some magic terms that you cannot say to the officials. So I don't know what was said that may come out in the press conferences later on. It could have been a turning point. It certainly was Draymond Green. It turned out successfully baiting Dennis Schroeder into that moment, but he didn't really put up a fight with the officials. So my best guess, and it's a guess, probably said something you're not supposed to say because he pretty calmly walked away for the night when he was ejected.
Yeah, and Draymond Green, who was really great in Game 5, right? He and Andrew Wiggins were really good in Game 5. They were minus 26 plus minus in this game. Like, Draymond Green wasn't effective. Klay Thompson wasn't effective. I mean, Klay Thompson, after that 30-point barrage with the 8 threes in Game 2, he had 11. He was averaging 11 points per game in the last 3 games, and he comes up with 8. It was not Game 6 Klay Thompson. It was disappointing for him and what we usually expect from him.
Yeah, I mean, look, let's not mince words. Klay Thompson, in totality, was terrible in this series. And Draymond Green, I think, in the total equation, especially the standards we've come to expect from a champion, was poor in this series. And Steph Curry, and I know the box score says he scored a lot of points, was absolutely atrocious from the three-point line, which obviously is the thing he's not just best at, he's the best in the history of the sport at hitting three-point shots. And he was bad on this evening. And I wrote the other night, and I think we talked about, Akeem, the fact that for me, as good as the Warriors had been up until the point where they lost this series, and as much promise as they had at times in this series, I felt like the dynasty that they put together, the gears of that machine, they were creaky, they were rusty, something was wrong. And not that they can't compete going forward, not that they can't make runs going forward, but I think this game, this beatdown, this performance by the Lakers at the expense of the Warriors, I think shows us that whatever the Warriors were, even up to last year, a dynasty, a team that could roll to a championship, that's over. It's going to be harder. They've got to make better decisions. They're going to have to get more lucky with health because Klay Thompson couldn't be Klay Thompson. Draymond Green couldn't be Draymond Green. And maybe the most shocking thing, Steph Curry wasn't able to be the Steph Curry that's defined his career in this era in the NBA. And all the way around, that is I don't want to take anything away from the Lakers, but it's a big part of the reason we're discussing what happened because those 3 players, and a lot of the players around them, were poor for big chunks of this series.
Well, and as you mentioned, the Lakers' identity of being a really good defensive team, they took the Warriors out of who they are. They were 13 of 48 from beyond the arc in Game 6. I mean, they easily make 20 in a game. We saw it in this series, and they did not. They did not shoot the basketball well. And what we also talked about coming into this series and coming into this postseason were the road woes for the Golden State Warriors. 11-30 during the regular season. And they didn't win a road game in this series, and sometimes teams will flip the switch. You've seen it. I've seen it in the postseason. You'll see a team, don't worry about it. The regular season was no big deal. They'll flip the switch. They didn't flip a switch. Yeah, they won on the road against Sacramento, but this is a different team with LeBron James and Anthony Davis defensively. Where do you think the biggest issues were for this team? Why was it such a problem winning on the road?
So I think it's a macro issue. We sometimes get caught in big headlines and big stories, and we move away from them. But there's a few things. I mean, one thing is they did not develop some of their younger players, guys like Kuminga and Moody and even Jordan Poole, the way the Lakers did. Players like Austin Reeves and other guys, Lonnie Walker IV, who contributed. That's one. I think, Akeem, you have to go back to Draymond Green viciously punching Jordan Poole at the start of the year and the clear lack of chemistry that was just a problem for this team over the course of the year. And everybody that covers the NBA knows that chemistry matters the most on the road. It's just a different vibe and a different reality. And the fact these guys are older, that Klay Thompson's a little bit older and coming off those injuries, and Draymond Green's a little bit older, and Steph Curry, I think, has several years of excellence left, is a little bit older. There's not a margin for error, and not having some of the depth you need in developing your young players, and not having the chemistry you need when you get punched in the nose, figuratively and sometimes literally, which the Lakers certainly did as a physical team. And again, credit Darvin Ham, the head coach, for a remarkable defensive game plan over the course of this series. You're right. All the things we saw, the fraying of this Lakers dynasty in the regular season, which manifested itself, I think, most obviously in their road woes, came to bear in this series. They did not have the depth they needed. They did not have the chemistry they needed. And when the going got tough, they weren't able as a group to figure it out and in the past do what they've done in the past, which is find a solution as a group. They weren't the team, literally, that they had been in the past.
Warriors have 5 different players who will be making $20+ million next season, the most of any team. Steph Curry, of course, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins, Jordan Poole signed through the 2026-27 season. So they've got the talent to compete. We know that. The window's not closed for Golden State. You can never say that when they've got that talent, it's never closed for them. Off season, they got to figure it out. You're right. Absolutely. They got to figure out the adjustments they're going to have to make. It's the same thing that Kevin Durant said when they go into the off season with the Phoenix Suns. We got to make tweaks. The championship team's going to make some tweaks, and perhaps one of the championship teams we'll see it's going to be the Lakers or the Nuggets, because I think that's where it's going to be. It's going to be either the Lakers or Nuggets winning this NBA championship. I think this you could make the argument this is the de facto NBA Finals. Lakers and Nuggets 2-2 during the regular season. Jokic, LeBron, AD, Jamal Murray. We got Kentucky on Kentucky crime perhaps here with Jamal Murray and Anthony Davis. Like, the storylines are great. Denver's trying to prove that they're an NBA title contender. They are. Can they win it? LeBron trying to win a second title with the Lakers. They beat him in 2020. I'm giving you all the storylines here because I'm excited about this series, because this is awesome for basketball. This is what basketball needs. This is LeBron and the Lakers against Jokic and the Nuggets. Your initial thoughts on this monster matchup for a spot in the NBA Finals?
Yeah, I can't wait. Although, let me circle back real quick to the Warriors' future, because Draymond Green has a player option, and it's not a guarantee that he will choose to stick around. Bob Myers, who is the general manager, he's actually the president of basketball operations, the architect, he is very unhappy with his contract situation, his pay status. So I think there could be major changes here with the Warriors. Draymond could be somewhere else, and their GM could be somewhere else. And I think, to your point, it might be the transition to another era. And that era, maybe it's defined by the Denver Nuggets and Nikola Jokic, and maybe LeBron James says, not so fast. I've been around for 20 years, but I'm not giving up the crown just yet. Because what I think you have in that Denver-Lakers series is very possibly the future of at least the Western Conference, or the likely future, against a passing LeBron James that just has dominated this game for so long. And one of the, I think, fascinating things about this matchup, to your point, Akeem, Jokic, remarkable player. LeBron James, remarkable player. But this is going to be a real challenge for Nikola Jokic, not just to live up to sort of these standards of I'm going up against LeBron. If you could go into a laboratory and you could craft the perfect defensive player to try and throw at Jokic, it looks a lot like the Anthony Davis we saw in this game and for big chunks of this series. It is going to be a remarkable showdown between these two teams on the offensive and defensive end.
Lakers going from a play-in team for playing for a spot in the NBA Finals. Pretty remarkable turnaround from starting the season 2-10, now playing for a spot in the NBA Finals against the Denver Nuggets. Game 1 Tuesday in Denver. Bill, Ryder, appreciate the breakdown here on CBS Sports HQ. Here we go. This is going to be awesome. If you love basketball, this is going to be an awesome series. Look, I hope it goes 7, because this would be great theater, must-see basketball here between the Lakers and Nuggets. 2-2 during the regular season. Last time they met in the playoffs was 2020 in the bubble. Lakers won that series in 5 games en route to the NBA championship, who they beat the Miami Heat. Miami Heat still alive. They're in the Eastern Conference Finals. They await the winner of the 76ers and Celtics. And the Lakers moving on to the Western Conference Finals. LeBron James has won 9 straight conference finals. Now looking for another title to add to his resume. Coverage continues here on CBS Sports HQ. The head coach of the Lakers, Darvin Ham, at the podium.